Da-da-da-da-da-da. There's only one reason we're here, people, and that reason is James Bond. He's back. We've waited 18 months and joined by the awesome Linda Marric.
Hello.
The awesome Scott Davis.
Hello.
And they look like they're in the same room, but they're not. The awesome Martin Dyer.
Hello.
And my name's David Sztypuljak, so welcome. So yes, we're going to be talking about Bond. If you don't already, well, first of all, welcome. This is the first mouth off we've done in a fair old while. But this is the first film sort of note that, you know, it's got us all very excited. And last night we all got to see the film. So it's probably also worth saying there might be some, not spoilers in this, but we have to talk a little bit about what happens in the movie. So if you don't want to know anything about the film whatsoever, probably turn off now, come back when you've seen the film, and then you can let us know in the comments what you thought. And like and subscribe as well if you don't already. Forgot to say that. So Daniel Craig is back. Scott, do you want to give us a little bit of info about, well, in brief, what the film is about or where it begins?
Sure, yeah. So this is Bond 25, as we know. We've been waiting 18 months to see it. And finally, we're getting to see it. All we can say about the plot, really, is it carries on pretty much after Spectre. Bond and Madeleine Swan have gone off into the sunset together, are trying to have a life together. But, of course, history catches up with them, skeletons in the closet, etc., etc. Bond is thrust back into action, even though he's retired. And it involves MI6, it involves Blofeld, it involves Rami Malek's mysterious character, it involves everybody else in the plot, and that's all we can really say. And it, as I say, it thrusts Bond back into a world that he thought he had left behind, but he never really left, did he? He can't really leave that kind of the position that he's got for himself. But he is retired. He's not the person he once was in that sense. And things happen, and he has to help save the day, as it was.
Yeah, cool. And it's probably
I can't really say too much about it apart from that, because we don't want to go into spoiler territory. Obviously, this is a big deal for a lot of people, and they've been waiting a long time to see it. Obviously, Daniel Craig's Spectre was in 2015, so it should have been 5 years. It's 6 years, so it's a bit of a wait. So we fully understand how big the spoilers are of this and everything else, very much like the Marvel movies and everything else. So we will do our best to not talk about them. So all you need to know is Bond's back in action, and he has to help save the day.
I mean, for me, best set piece was probably the opening, actually. I really liked that. Guys, for you, was there a specific set piece? Martin, what did you think? What was your fave?
I really enjoyed, I suppose you could call it sort of the escape from home scene with the old battered 4x4 up against the sort of brand spanking new fleet of Range Rovers, bikes and helicopters, and through the water, through the wooded area. I think a lot of that was obviously just classic kind of Bond car chase action. But I think, as with a lot of things in the film, that kind of was a little nod to me to some of the sort of historic kind of Bond moments, just, Bond driving the kind of the battered old vehicle up against, all these brand new machines and still coming through. So yeah, really, really enjoyed that section.
Yeah. What about you, Linda? What stood out for you?
Yeah, for me, I really liked the opening set piece. Fantastic. Loved all the bridge stuff. But for me, the Anna de Armas bit was the cherry on top for me. I thought that was just the most amazing little fun. It was fun. It was funny. It was sort of action packed, and she is fabulous. I just absolutely loved her. I hope there is a role for her somewhere in the next Bond as well. But I really loved her. I thought that particular sort of action. I think what I like about Bond is the cheekiness and the funny stuff. There's a lot of broodiness in this one, which I am all for. But at the same time, what I really like is when he's funny and when he's sort of playing against someone who's as funny as him. So yeah. I really like that.
Yeah, I think for me, she was probably, well, we'll get on to Rami Malek in a bit, but for me, Anna and Rami were the two most underused characters in the movie. Scott, What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would agree with Linda. I think my favourite part was the Paloma part. Absolutely, she's fantastic. I mean, she is fantastic anyway, but I wasn't expecting her to be that good. And the fact that she isn't in it as much as she should be is a bit of a travesty. I understand she's coming into the 5th movie. You know, they're trying to wrap up Daniel Craig's era and everything else, but it's a shame that she didn't get more screen time because she was fantastic. And I did also enjoy the opening. The second scene, I think it's the second scene, the car chase sequence. I thought that was really cool. Bits of which we've seen a lot of in the trailers. I thought that was really good as well. But yeah, I agree with Linda. The Paloma, there should have been more Paloma, much more Paloma, and hopefully she'll get to either reappear or maybe even get a spin-off. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I agree. I loved the Paloma section, but I kind of disagree on that there wasn't enough of her. I think there was just enough of her to make us want her more, and I think they know what they're doing. I think they just plunged her into the storyline. She did her bit and then went off, making us wonder whether she will come back. And I think that's brilliant writing, very good, very well done. I think there is a reason for it, and I felt like I really wanted to see her again, but I didn't feel shortchanged. I thought she did a fantastic job just with that sort of short amount of time. So I see why people wanted more of her, but I think there wasn't space for more of her in other bits, and that's why she wasn't in them. And I think to keep her just to that action bit, that set piece was just enough for me for now.
You've sold me on that. Okay, I'll go with it. So more Anna in the next film, happy with, but not enough in this film. Yeah. But leave them wanting more. Right, Rami Malek, thoughts, guys? What do we think? Underused, not in it enough. Didn't really feel like he was as threatening as like Christoph Waltz's character as Blofeld. So in this sequence here, which I thought was again a really, really great scene, but I thought that Christoph Waltz in this short scene in the scope of the movie was actually better than any of the Rami Malek stuff. What do we think, Scott?
Oh, fan to me. I thought, yeah, I would agree with that. I thought he was actually the weakest part of the movie. That's not entirely his fault. I thought it was a very, very thinly written villain. It's a lot of stuff we've seen before. That frustrated me a hell of a lot because I think the film followed suit in some respects, but we'll get onto that. But I like Rami Malek as a performer, and as a Bond villain, he has a lot more to offer than what he's given in this one. He isn't really a threatening villain. Obviously, he's a certain type of villain, a sort of a modern version of a Bond villain that we've seen before. But there was just not enough for him to really grab onto. I didn't think at all. He wasn't menacing. I didn't feel any threat from him. I don't think Bond felt any threat from him. And you're right. The one scene with Christoph Waltz, actually, our good mate Christoph Waltz, actually works better than anything else that he does. Yeah, this scene here, very, very tense. Lots of stuff in there that's actually, to be fair, that scene was actually better than most of his role in Spectre. Yeah, I thought he was better in this than he was in Spectre. So, but yeah, Rami Malek is a very, very good performer. But there's a lure with the Bond villain, isn't there? Where if you're offered one, you kind of want to do it regardless.
Oh, yeah, but for sure. It's a shame. Like you said, it's not Rami Malek's fault that he didn't necessarily.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
No, he's a fantastic performer. But yeah, he is it's very undone by the way the character is written and the way the character is portrayed on screen, which I didn't feel any menace from or threatening, as I say, threatened by, or as I say with Bond, that you just kind of had the feeling, even the first time you meet him, that Bond's got this.
Do you
we have to wait 2.5 hours to see it happen?
Did you think? Madeleine, played for the lovely Léa Seydoux, she and I reckon her and Rami Malek are around the same age. Thoughts? Yeah.
Actually, I believe she's probably slightly older than
Right.
him.
So how does that first scene work? I don't get that.
Yeah, let's not give any of that away, because
No, I won't say any more.
I think this is. I personally, sorry, Martin. I don't know if you wanted to say something. I just want to go back to Rami Malek. I am yet to be convinced by his acting abilities. I have to say. I'm sorry,
Oscar-winning Rami Malek.
So. Yeah. Well,
Linda's brave enough, braver than me to say what she's saying, because I want to say the same thing, but I was being nice.
So I am yet to be convinced by him. I haven't seen a single thing. Is he in Mr. Robot? That's the thing he's in for.
Yeah,
that's
isn't he? Robot.
I thought he was great in Mr. Robot, but I also remember him from a very, very long time where he was in a sitcom with Michael Rappaport. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Someone can Google while I'm talking. I think it was called The War at Home, but I'm not 100% sure. And I thought he was really good in that. I think so far I haven't seen him in anything that I thought he was absolutely outstanding in. And I generally didn't think much of him in this role either. So forgive me to say that I thought he was the weakest link in here.
Well, confirmed. I've just checked for you. He is in The War at Home.
Yeah.
He was also, whilst I don't remember this, he was in the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Oh my God, was
Who
he?
knew?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Who knew?
I did like The War at Home. Fantastic sitcom. Very, very innovative. He played a little sort of Iraqi gay kid living next door to Michael Rappaport's family. Very funny, very sort of likable. I've not genuinely, apart from Mr. Robot, I'm yet to be convinced that he's an extraordinary actor. I hope that in the future he will sort of change my mind, and I apologise for offending of his fans.
So the Oscar on his mantelpiece suggests that others disagree with you, and I will say nothing else. Martin,
they do. I'm sure they do. But hey,
Martin, you were saying to me that you thought the Rami Malek character was quite like it sort of it reminded you of a previous Bond villain. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought actually the character of Safin, I agreed with much of what's already been said, but actually I thought it was the character in a sense that kind of in essence restricted him, and whether that was intentional, because I really felt that both his demeanour and his wardrobe as well really pushed him into a sort of Dr. No kind of mould, and in fact, his base of operations as well. I think the whole thing did sort of call to mind Dr. No, which I'd say actually is a relatively kind of blank, emotionless kind of character, and I felt that was the role that he was put into, and so whether or not he was really able to kind of unleash his full sort of acting repertoire in that role is kind of debatable. But yeah, I'd agree that the character could have been stronger for sure.
The biggest travesty for me in this movie was the Aston Martin, and Martin even leaned over to me during the film and said, "Look at the scratches down the side of the DB5." Anyone else feeling the same pain?
No.
It was.
No, just me. Let's go through a few other performances. So we have Lashana Lynch. I thought she was excellent, actually. Really strong. Great to see female actor being such a strong role. So we know she's a 00. Some people, we all know who she is. Other people watching this review may already know who she plays in the movie. I'm going to say she's a 00. And I'm going to say nothing else. Naomie Harris, I was disappointed by the amount, what she had to do in the movie, because after such strong roles in the previous 2 or 3 Bonds, it's probably 3 Bonds, she didn't have much to do in this one. Scott, thoughts?
Yes, I would agree that she didn't have a lot to do. You see, I think one of my problems with the film is, and I've been thinking about this overnight because we saw it yesterday, and a few people on Twitter have said the same, about the fact that the story is and the film is kind of undone by the fact that it seems to be so desperate to connect everything like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I think undoes all the good work that has been done in other movies, which then leads to less Naomie Harris, less Ralph Fiennes, less less Ben Whishaw, even though they're peppered through the movie. Or Ben Wishaw's probably in it
Ben's
more
in it
than out
quite
of
a
the three
bit,
of
isn't
them.
he?
Yeah, but what I mean is, there seems to be this desperate. I know, obviously, Daniel Craig wanted to finish, and they wanted to, have this overriding arc. So it was like their version of, not so much the MCU, but maybe similar to Nolan's Batman movies in the sense that there's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end, which there kind of is in these 5 movies. But I think that undoes itself a little bit in the sense that it's a lot of it's in service to what's gone before. Whereas I would have quite liked them to do something a little bit different. Obviously, yes, they set up in Spectre with them going off into the sunset, and that still carries on. But I feel like that left a few things short that would have made the film stronger. The focus of it was maybe in the wrong places, which led to some of those characters being sidelined. People probably disagree with me, I'm sure. But that was one of the things. I've just been thinking about it today, about how, in service of the interconnectivity of all of these movies, that there's a few other things that we won't talk about because they're kind of spoilers, but there's other things in the movie that do go back in through through Daniel Craig's timeline that may or may not have been relevant. I understand the emotion to it all and what they're trying to say with this particular version of Bond, but I feel it kind of undoes itself a little bit by staying true to their little series rather than expanding on some other stuff and going in some different directions.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree on that with that. Linda?
I think the script is very generous to all its characters, and I think by being that generous, maybe it didn't sort of convince some people. I totally get that, and I to some extent I agree with Scott, but at the same time I felt like they all deserved to be there for the swan song of Daniel Craig, and I kind of do not begrudge them being there, and I get it. I totally agree, Scott. I get what you're saying, but at the same time I feel like we needed to see all of those characters. We would have been even more gutted if the film had finished and we didn't get to sort of say goodbye to each one of those characters. And I gutted for Naomie Harris that she wasn't there for more of the time, but at the same time I really like that Ben Whishaw got sort of a bigger part and was on it, and it was just adorable. I love him.
Yeah,
I love him as Q, and I think there's lots of playfulness in his character, and I on the whole, I like I said, I do not begrudge it being a bit sort of all over the place because we needed all those people to say goodbye to. Sort of start afresh.
We don't know for sure that some of them are, well, a lot of them, most of them aren't going to come back again in the next film. We know Daniel Craig is going to do another movie.
True. We don't know, but we needed them to be with him, saying goodbye to him, so that we got that kind of closure. So I get it. And I think that's kind of if I was we're sort of being sort of experts, but I think the person who sort of paying their 20 quid to go and watch this on a biggest screen possible is just going to enjoy everything and leave happy that they've seen all of this, all the sort of characters once again saying goodbye to James.
Bye, Daniel. Bye, Daniel. So I haven't said already, but we were lucky enough to speak to Ben Whishaw, Lashana Lynch, Léa Seydoux, Barbara Broccoli, Michael G. Wilson, Rami Malek, and all those interviews are now on our YouTube channel. Oh, and the director, of course, Cary Scott, surname, please.
Fukunaga.
Thank you very much. It's taken me long enough to learn how to say Taika Waititi, but I got there at the end. Yes, do check them out on our YouTube channel. Right, Daniel Craig. Now we must keep this brief. We've been going for a long time. His final outing as Bond. How did he perform? What did we think, people? Let's go to Martin first.
Well, I mean, I loved him. I loved him in this film. For me, I think this film actually did cement him as my favourite Bond. Loved him since Casino Royale, which has been my favourite Bond film, and I think for the majority, this film was then sort of up there and taking over. So I think he's done a great job. I think he's brought just a fantastic blend of brutality and emotional sort of vulnerability to the role that I don't think any previous Bond has had that mix, and certainly the comedy also, particularly in this outing. So yeah, loved it.
Yeah, what about you, Scott?
To quote the comic book guy from The Simpsons, best Bond ever.
Linda?
I think this is. Oh no, I will say that. No, I was just going to say, I think this is, I agree with Martin, it is his best performance out of the five. There's a lot of cool new melodies and other things in there that he hasn't done before, and he gets to flex a few extra muscles than he hasn't in the other ones. But he's just fantastic. This version of Bond, some people would say the real version of Bond, as to how he's written in Casino Royale and a few of the other books. He's just fantastic, and I feel sorry for anybody that has to follow him, because it's just going to be a nigh on impossible task. But hey, if they do it a little bit differently, who knows? We might get a new Roger Moore-ish version of the character, and that might work very well for people. We don't know. We don't know what the future holds, but he's incredible, and this, as Martin said, it cements his place for me as well as my favourite Bond.
Nice. Linda?
Oh, I love him. Absolutely love him. I mean, he is my favourite Bond. I love Roger Moore, and I've always said Roger Moore was my favourite Bond. But when Daniel took over from the very first movie, I knew I was going to love him, and I knew that he was going to be my favourite forever. And here he's excellent as ever. And, you know, just saying goodbye to him feels like bittersweet. But I'm also happy that he's going to go on to do more sort of character-led films, you know, and he deserves a rest from this and to sort of enter proper sort of Oscar acting from now on, hopefully.
Knives Out 2 and 3, here we come. So we must wrap up. Let's do our ratings. We'll go round in a circle. I haven't said my thoughts on Daniel Craig. I mean, what else can I say? He's a ledge. He's done such a good job. Casino Royale is still my favourite of the 5 movies, I believe. I think the script was just fantastic, but yeah, Daniel has done an amazing job throughout, in my opinion. Right, rating. Scott, out of 5, go.
3.
3. Oh, I
gave it 3 in my review. Yeah, you haven't asked me, but you know, we're over time.
Have I not? I thought I'd asked you.
I liked a lot of the film. I didn't like other parts of the film, and it felt a bit inconsistent for me.
Okay,
so
no, fair enough. Fair enough. Linda,
I'm gonna go for 5.
Are you?
And I'll tell you why I'm gonna go for 5. Even though I wasn't convinced entirely by all of it, I was hugely entertained all the way through it. Not once did I think this is too long or this isn't going anywhere. I loved every bit of the film from start to finish, and I'm going to be extremely generous and give it a 5 because I was entertained, and that's what cinema is supposed to do. And also, this film is going to save cinemas, hopefully.
Yeah, so
and,
true. People are going to go
and it's
see
back.
it.
Cinema is back, so go see it.
Well said. Amen. Martin.
I'm going to have to sit on the fence on this one and go in with 4 stars for the film as a standalone. I think, in all honesty, taking it as 1/5 of the Daniel Craig kind of era, I'd be saying it's 5 stars overall, you know, but as a single film, I'm saying 4.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I think for me it was too long. I found the sort of the latter half of the second act just dragged a bit, and it just needed to finish. Not finish. It just needed to move on a bit quicker than it was. But no, ultimately 4 stars for me. Scott, do you want to expand any more on your 3 stars, or feel free to? Or you can, where's your review? Actually, is it on the People Movies?
You can read my review over on the peoplesmovies.com.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah,
so there's a lot. I nearly went to like 800 words because I was writing so much. But yeah, I will say also this is one of 2 films, or 3 films maybe, that will save cinema. Just put that out there.
Yeah. What are your other ones?
Well, Dune maybe. We're on the fence with that one. The other one is, of course, Spider-Man: No Way Home, which is going to be insanely successful because of what could be happening. That's for another day.
Yeah. Very true. Well, thank you, all 3 of you, for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, as always. So if you're watching, thanks so much for joining us. Do let us know when you've seen the movie in the what you thought of it in the comments below. It is out in the UK tomorrow, the 30th of September. Scott, when do the US get it?
They have to wait till the 8th of October.
Wow.
Mainly because of a little film called Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah,
as we know, because of the pandemic, release dates have changed. So they are getting Venom this weekend. We are not. We are getting Bond. Next weekend they get Bond, and then we get Venom on the 15th.
I think we've lucked out there.
It's just also I think in the UK there's not a lot else out for the next until the 15th. I think if you look at the 15th, it's stacked with releases because no one wants to release the film opposite James Bond. So yeah, they always get stuff before us, so they can wait.
Yeah, it's true. Right, well, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. It will probably be Spider-Man or Venom or something like that. Or Dune, actually. Scott's seen Dune already, haven't you? Yeah. More on that next time. But thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Mouth Off. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed,
Nice.
Hey